What are some of the questions that you like to ask me? What's one of the questions?
Corinthia said, when did you realize your confidence to become a speaker?
It was an evolving process. I decided that anything that's worth doing, and I want you to make a note of this and write it down, is worth doing badly. Ed Foreman said that. Anything that's worth doing is worth doing badly. No one comes out of the gate doing anything great. It's a learning curve that's required. And after trying and failing again and again and again, and pretty soon I found my confidence. If you want to speak, speakers speak. And I spoke scared. I spoke scared. And then I was so nervous, I said, well, I need to speak to some people that can't see my nervousness. So I spoke to elementary kids in elementary school, kindergarten. And they didn't know enough to know whether or not I knew what I was talking about. And they told the teacher, can you bring that man back who's got that funny laugh? I'm really good with children. They love me, they do. And I grew from there. But I said, I'm going to speak. I'm going to speak. And I've spoken and people, they weren't listening and they did other things. And I didn't care. I just kept on talking and going back to my coach and continuing to sharpen the saw. You know, Abraham Lincoln said, if you got 6 hours to chop a tree down, he said, I'll spend 4 hours sharpening my axe. I continued to get the coaching I needed to improve my presentation skills and how I can use quotes and statistics and humor and energy and passion and the rhythm to speaking. I'm coachable. See, most people, they're where they are now because they don't know that they don't know, and they think they know, and they refuse to be coached. And Bob Proctor had a point that most people are where they are because of ignorance. They're not willing to face the reality that their best thinking has produced the life that they now have. If they could have made more money, they would have done it. If they could have had a greater impact, they would have done it. But ego, edging God out, ego, pride cometh before a fall, stop most people from learning, from being open. My high school theme, Booker T. Washington High School in Overtown in Miami. You never find out how much you know until you find out how little you know. This is the time you got to be a perpetual learner. A perpetual learner. Things have changed so dramatically and still changing. It has not stopped. It's not stopped. And I said, no, y'all ain't leaving me behind. No, I'm coming. And Sam and Dave would say, hold on, I'm coming. Let me tell you how that song was written. Isaac Hayes and Dave Prater, they wrote that song. And Dave had to go to the restroom. And Isaac would say, come on, man, come on. I'm in a creative mode right now. Hurry up. And he said, hold on, I'm coming. Several times they say, that's the title. That's the title. Hold on, I'm coming. He was using the toilet. Let me tell you another. You know the song Midnight Train to Georgia? My former wife used to sing, and she still does. It was Midnight Plane to Houston, and they didn't like to fly. They said, look here, we don't like to fly. Do you mind, the guy's a country and western writer, changing it to train? He said, no. And we don't live in Houston, we live in Atlanta. Do you mind changing it to Georgia? No. And the rest is history. Come on. You can't make this stuff up. I'm telling you what I know. Listen, life is just, Helen Keller said it best, life is short and unpredictable. Eat the dessert first. Put yourself in a community where you can grow, where you can learn, where you have relationships with people that have resources and contacts that you don't have, that you can learn from them. That's important right now. Come out from among people that are broke. Come out from among people that don't have anything and don't want anything. Come out from among people that are argumentative and always creating some kind of drama. You don't need that. No. Driving your blood pressure up. No. No, you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be peaceful. You deserve to have the best that life has to offer. Take responsibility for the kind of life that you want. If that's you, if you're ready for a major shift, see, disruptions require transformation. We are going through a major disruption, and you don't want to try and do it by yourself. You can't do all the thinking. You need to be in a community of people that's got your back. And I guarantee you, when you join our greatness community, the culture that we have now, this culture that we're in, is designed to destroy your sense of self, to deny you, to demonize you, and have you thinking small. You were designed for greatness. You're made in the likeness and image of God. It doesn't get any better than that. You've been given authority and dominion over everything. It doesn't get any better than that. But we've been programmed to fail constantly.
Some of the ugly, meaning that we want to hear some of the funniest moments too. So let's go ahead and we're going to start with the good. We'll start with the good, and it's okay here. This is an opportunity for you to go ahead and blow your own horn. Tell us some of the successes. Tell us some of the things that have really made big impacts in your life and what it's been like to be of the life as a speaker. John, why don't you go to share first?
First of all, when I think of the good, Paul, I think, well, let Les do that. He's got a lot of good stories, but when you get down to ugly, I major in ugly, all right? I really do. Let me just say this. The good all starts not by what I ever did or whatever I ever accomplished. The good starts when I heard my friend Zig say in 1974, if you'll help other people get what they want, they'll help you get what you want. That changed my life. Because up until that time, I thought as a speaker, communicator, it was my goal to get them to where I was and to get on my train and to buy into my vision. And it just changed every part of my approach to how I communicated with people. And if I've had any honors or blessings, I can tell you it's because I really didn't try to put, I don't want to sound overly humble, but I didn't try to put myself first, and I didn't try to put my agenda first. I tried to put the people's agenda first. And that changed my life. And I've been privileged to do a lot of things. And maybe the greatest honor was a couple of years ago when I did the opening session at the United Nations. And to speak to the ambassadors. And I have a nonprofit organization, as you know, Equip, that's in 175 countries training leaders. And to be able that day to communicate to them about being people and leaders of trust and speaking for an hour and a half and then receiving a standing ovation from them was really a highlight for me. But I thought, again, even that day in the audience that I had, I would have never been there unless I would have heard Zig teach me, and I would have listened and changed and put other people first. So all the good stuff, the places I've been, all the awards, all that stuff, it's all because I understood how to put people first when I communicated. And people, when you speak to them, Les, you know this, they can tell if you're for them or if you're for yourself.
Yes.
They can tell what your agenda is within the first 5 minutes.
Les, why don't you share some of the good times?
The good time for me, I was thinking, I listened to Zig and Earl Nightingale. Those are mantras. The voices of their voices in my head, and they just helped to overcome a tremendous inferiority complex that I had, because I was labeled educable mentally retarded and put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade. And failed in the 8th grade and I have no college training. But I had this high school teacher who said, someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. But there's something that Earl Nightingale said. He said, all of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it.
I love that one.
Yeah, and so that stuck with me, and I've had some great experiences. I remember speaking in the Georgia Dome for Dexter Yeager.
Oh, yes.
And did a speech called "It's Not Over Till I Win" for 80,000 people, and to have that experience and being at that large venue, that was very inspiring. And also, I produced like 8 specials for public television, and these are things that I never thought would happen. Just focusing on helping people to change their lives and helping them to live beyond the labels that had been placed on them. That, to me, has been extremely rewarding, being able to touch and transform lives.
Well, I can tell you, I can remember when I first saw you, it was in Knoxville. It was at an Amway convention. And I had muscled my way down towards the front, and I remember you saying, you know, you got to be hungry. You were giving that talk. And I said, you know, I want to do what he's doing. Yeah. And I hid that for 18 years. And then I remember when I first saw you, and I'll never forget, it was in West Palm Beach. We were actually Delray Beach in a Marriott at the ocean. It was the first time I saw you speak. I had heard about you, I read your books, and you said to me, you said to me, there was hundreds in the audience.
I said it to you.
But it was to me.
I sure did.
You said to me that the 2 most important days in your life is the day you were born, the day you knew why.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I really got serious about defining my purpose. And I would imagine when you speak about the successes and the good times you've had, it's a small representation of the people who you've touched. When you're speaking to the leaders at the UN or the 80,000 lives that you touch, there's children and wives and spouses and grandchildren whose lives you've changed beyond just the people in the audience. Yes. What an awesome.
That's true. Well, you're never just speaking to the people you're speaking to. You're speaking to the people that all those people influence. So I always tell people, whatever your audience number, multiply it by 10. And you've got probably an understanding of who you're really talking to within the next 3 to 4 days. It does multiply.
Right. Yes. Well, you know, there's aspiring communicators who are watching this video, and there's speakers out there who really want to make an impact, who want to have the life that you've created, and they're not quite at your level. Will you share what were some of the things that maybe you did or that maybe they can do now? If they're aspiring, maybe they're struggling to get to the level where you're at. What would be the 1 or 2 things of word of encouragement or piece of advice? Maybe it's, you know, practice. Maybe it's continue to speak. I remember, Les, when you and I had an opportunity to speak several times, even when on days when we weren't scheduled to speak, you would go speak at a prison because you said speakers speak, and I'll never forget that. So for those who are aspiring, what would you say to give them a word of encouragement to keep going, John? Or
well, I would say, be yourself. Be yourself. Sitting on the stool reminds me of that because it took me several years to understand that if I communicated on a stool conversationally, that I was more effective than if I stood. Now, I don't think that's true for you. I just don't think that's true for you, but that's true for me. And then I say, once you get comfortable in your own skin, and it took me a long time. I don't know if it did you, Les, but it took me a long time to do that. I wasn't naturally comfortable in my skin when I spoke in the beginning. But once you become comfortable in who you are, in your own skin, then be the best self that you can be. And that comes to the practicing and watch the other great communicators and learn from them. But you can't really be the best that you can be until you figure out who you are. So it starts with, I gotta know me before I can build me and develop me.
And everything he said, he got out of my pocket.
That's exactly.
I wrote the notes down.
Absolutely.
He stole your line.
The one who goes first.
Yes.
You know, that's the way it always is, buddy. And I want to thank you.
I know.
Well, I know.
Some of my best thinking has been done by others, including you, Les, and including you, Paul. Some of my best thinking has been done there.
Well, I know you've trained thousands of speakers.
Yes.
You have a program that teaches that. What would you say? What would you say?
I'll say to them exactly what John just said. Be yourself. I'm the only speaker. I'm 69. I don't look it. I don't dye my hair because I have an allergic reaction to dye. But I use mascara to cover the gray. I do this all the time, right on stage. No, you need a paintbrush.
Mascara is a little small.
That's right.
I need a kind of a broad and probably a paper size.
But when I take my mascara out and put it on, people just say, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
But you've got to be comfortable
Absolutely.
in your skin in order to do that. And so when you are speaking from your heart, when you're being authentic, and the other thing that's key for new speakers, I say to you, don't let what you want to say get in the way of what the audience needs to hear. You know, and all that get
That's
understanding.
so good.
Yeah, find out what it is that they're looking for and how you can craft a message to create an experience so that when they leave your presence, a lot of speakers never make it because they have speeches that are content driven.
Yes.
If information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. Okay, so
I
you
love
want to
that.
create
That's
an
true.
experience. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was.
That's very, very true. And you know, once you less are comfortable with you, the people can be comfortable with you.
Yes.
The audience can never be comfortable with the speaker until the speaker's comfortable with himself or herself. And you're so right on as far as connecting with the people and finding out where they are. I've always said that professional speakers, they're content driven. They're going out and saying, okay, I hope I do well. I hope they like what I say. I hope they really like me. Great communicators, they're going out and saying, I like you.
Yes.
I like what you want to hear. And it's a total different world. And again, less you know it, Paul. That audience in 5 minutes figures it out.
Yeah.
They figure out if you're wanting to help them or if you're wanting to help yourself. And there's a world of difference between those two.
Well, I know you both are continual learners. I know that. I know that you read and file every day. You memorize quotes all the time. And that has to be part of the game too. I would imagine sharpening the saw.
Oh, absolutely. You cannot give what you do not have. So, hey, fill it up, baby.
That's right. That's right.
Fill it up before you let it flow. Don't go out there with an empty tank.
No.
Again, how long does that take for somebody to know you got an empty tank? About 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
Or your second speech.
You know you're in trouble when the best part of your day was your introduction. When everybody says, boy, that was the highlight. Man, after they introduced him, it didn't go anywhere. It didn't get any better. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that true?
Yes, absolutely. It really is true. Yeah, it is. When you look at what we do, it's a gift. And because it's a gift, there's nothing to be arrogant about. That implies a giver. And we are vessels that are being used to help people to get a larger vision of themselves beyond their circumstances and mental conditioning. And people come to us and say, hey, you changed my life.
Since we're there, right before we came on today, I was talking to him. You want to tell them the story about the 99-cent store, the dollar store, the Walmarts, the Neiman Marcus?
Yes. First of all, he's still in diapers. I'm 72.
Yeah.
All right? I served at the Lord's Supper. So let's get that straight. I'm an old guy.
When he was 15, I was being born.
All right, yes. And I believe that you're never too old to learn and you're never too young to teach. And that's why I admire you. And that's why I have no qualms about asking you to mentor me in this next chapter of my life, because I'm not through yet and there's much more for me to do. And I was talking to you about your model, going from competing, his business model, competing with dollar store all the way up to thousands of dollars. And that is so brilliant. One of the things when I read the book, Alvin Toffler, Future Shock, and he talked about the fact that when we go from a domestic economy to a global economy, an education economy, the things are going to change, and it will be a time where people have to think and have to be creative and find ways to do what they do in a far more effective way, do more and do it faster and with less resources and manpower. You have mastered that, and you're teaching others how to do it. We learn, we earn, and we pass it on. And that's what I admire about you, that you're passing it on. It's not just about you, but you're building a legacy and empowering people who will go into a future that neither one of us will see, that will take it to the next level. And that's exciting.
How many speaking gigs have you done around the world? Any idea how many stages you've been on, Les? The legend, Les Brown, is in the studio. I'm so excited.
I've spoken to as many as 80,000 people. If people go online and put in Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome, And the speech is called "It's Not Over Till You Win." Dexter Yeager from Amway, he put that event together. The largest gathering of entrepreneurs. That was the largest audience of over 80,000. Last year I spoke in Poland to over 25,000. That was a very powerful gathering. But I've spoken in so many places.
How many times? I know you've been in Miami 4 times in your entire career.
In my entire career.
Only 4 times, by the way.
Only 4 times. Yeah, and I was born in Liberty City.
Here, right?
Born in Liberty City, an abandoned building with a twin brother. We're adopted.
I'm a twin.
No, you're not.
Identical twin, man.
Whoa, we're fraternal twins.
Okay.
And so, he looks like my son because I use mascara to cover my gray. There's no shame. I put her on stage, all right?
Okay.
Yeah, but so Wesley and I, we were adopted by Mrs. Mamie Brown. She had a 3rd grade education. She worked on Miami Beach for wealthy families. And my dream, as we were coming up, was to buy her a home. That's what drove me. And one of the families that she worked for, Mrs. Swiderski, used to listen to Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret in the World, and Bill Bailey and Glenn Turner. And that was early stages of cultivating my mind and my thoughts. The Strangest Secret in the World.
Okay.
That was the first motivational message that I heard that sold over 1 million. He was an insurance executive, and he created these motivational messages for his insurance agents to listen to. And their performance began to increase. He had just an incredible voice, and I loved his voice and his content. And then I ran into Jim Rohn, and he worked for a guy named Bill Bailey. He had a company called Best Line Products. And I heard Jim speak. I was fascinated by him and Bill Bailey from Louisville, Kentucky. And those speakers spoke into my life. I always tell speakers, I train them now, and I say that when we speak, we create, as you know, an experience, because how people live their lives is a result of the story they believe about themselves. And so when you speak, what you do is distract, dispute, and inspire. You distract them from their story with your story. Through the strategic execution of your story and the things that you have learned and the failures and the setbacks and the victories, you dismantle their current belief system and inspire them to become, as Mother Teresa would say, to become a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter in their lives. Distract, dispute, and inspire. We create an experience. And I believe that the reason that many speakers aren't able to do what we do is they feel that information is important. And I can tell you unequivocally if information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy.
Yeah, that's right. You hear what he's saying, okay?
Yeah.
He's talking about the dismantling of the old story that you're telling the world, okay?
Yes.
And some people have the ability, the magical, miraculous ability to do that. This man right here has it.
You have it too.
Thank you.
I've been watching you. I said, you can't sneak up on the old man. I said, look at him. You think you're going to ambush me? No way, Jose.
Me and Les Brown are going to be working together.
Yes.
March 17th, 18th, and 19th, right here in Miami. He's only spoken here 4 times in the world. You've probably been to Europe more than 4 times.
Oh my goodness, yes. I've spoken in Poland, in Johannesburg, South Africa, in Australia, in London, England, and Hong Kong. I've spoken all over the world.
And you know, Les, I mean, you're 72. I'm 58 years old. I now, you have 10 kids.
Yes, 5 boys and 5 girls.
You're trying to tell me to
You've got to pick up the pace. Yes,
Okay.
that's a little. So he said, "Be fruitful and multiply." I took him seriously.
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
Man. He's 10X. This dude is.
That's what I'm
10X.
talking about. Can you feel a brother up in here? Yes.
I can. And so, I mean, look, you and I'm sure you do, and I'm transparent, so I'll talk about this. I know I'm at the, closer to the end of my career than the beginning of it.
I don't think so.
No?
No, because part of delivering this message, when you're in alignment with your purpose, I believe that gives you more time on the universe. Let's look at me. I'm 72, but I don't look it. I don't have a 72-year-old energy. And there's a difference between that physiological age and that spiritual age. And I think when you're in alignment and doing what you're supposed to do that pleasures God, it keeps you young. You have the energy of a 20-year-old. That allows you to be
But I mean, there's going to be a
channel.
time when you and I are not live in these bodies on a stage.
Without any question.
Okay.
And I'm not looking forward to that.
Les Brown, stay with me. We'll be
Yes.
right back for Power Players. Welcome back to Power Players. Grant Cardone here with the legendary Les Brown. We were talking on break. He promised a breakthrough in March.
Without
How
any
can you
question.
do that?
Because of the fact that what we do, we have the ability, and we've developed it over a period of time, and I don't know exactly when it happens, where you can speak to a crowd of people, and you're speaking to them as a group, but also individually, that they come away as a result of your speaking into them, and as we weave a story with our experiences because of who we are behind the words that we speak, because of what we've gone through. A person hasn't gone through anything, it's hard for them to reach somebody's heart because they've never been there. Sometimes God has to break a life before he can use a life. And so you and I, two
Church,
individuals,
baby,
come on
church.
now. Yeah, we've been broken.
Yeah.
And so he put us back together. And as a result of that we can be used, but we couldn't be used before. And so to me, to be able to be a channel to help people discover a part of themselves that they could never discover by themselves, that's what you do, that's what we do. And that's why people listen to us and come to us.
So why do people, so many people want to be public speakers, but are also fearful of it? And how can you help that person?
Oh, the training that I do, that they speak immediately. That's the quickest thing to go. They speak immediately. You have to set them up so they don't have time to think. And so in the training, they speak immediately and they love it because I believe that we're supposed to be doing this. I had a lady flew from Australia recently and to be trained by me, and she emailed me and said, cost is not an issue. And so I asked her the second day, and I only train with people that I feel a close connection with one-on-one. And I said, why did you want to come to me? She said, I saw American television, and it talked about this young white boy that went into a black church and killed 9 people. And she said, I said to myself, what if I had gotten in his ear? She says, nothing enters except through the eyes or the ears. And she said, and this gave me goose pimples, she said, you speak from your heart. And I want to learn how to do that because I believe the world is the way that it is, not because a few people are violent. She said, the world is the way that it is because too many people are silent.
Yes.
And I said, whoa. And I decided
Dude, that's awesome.
that my goal is to help people outside of politics and outside of religion, which polarize people.
Have a voice.
Yeah, politicians say, do as I tell you to do and I'll give you a piece of American pie. Ministers say, do as I tell you to do and I can teach you how to live after you die. And our goal is teaching people how to live right here, right now, because the difference ultimately between what we do and what ministers do, they preach the gospel about Jesus, we preach the gospel that Jesus preached. They sell the messenger and we sell the message. And so as a result, we can empower people to take charge of their lives and begin to create a new story, to write new chapters with their lives.
So like Les talked about the lady from Australia that says it's not because of the violence, but because of the silence.
Yeah.
I think most businesses fail. Most brands never make it. Most people never reach their greatness because they don't know how to tell their story.
Yes, that's major.
What will you be sharing with the audience? Because look, man.
Let me just share with you why the
book
story
Laws of
is important.
Success.
Yes. Why the story is important is because when you speak, if you're selling, you're an entrepreneur, you got a product, you have an expertise, knowledge is a new currency. People are asking 3 questions. Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? And so if you don't answer that, because we know people do business with
what, why?
Who are you?
Yeah.
What do you have? And why should I care? People do business with people they know, like, and trust. And when you can answer that, now you're building a rapport and a connection that creates a possibility where you can do business together and help each other go to that next level.
Guys spoken all over the world. Emmy Award winner for fundraising for public broadcasting.
Yes.
Fortune 500 CEOs all over the world, small business owners, nonprofit, community leaders. You're an inspiration to me because you sit out in front of me and give me like what is possible. Right?
Yes.
So you've really been an inspiration to me.
Thank you so
much. And I know millions and millions of others. I look
And
forward
you've
to
done the same for me, and you play it down. You're so humble.
No. I'm not humble.
Yeah,
I'm not a humble
you
man.
Just humble bread. You just humble bread.
No,
but I ain't going for it.
I am not a humble man. He's going to speak on Saturday, right?
Saturday, yes.
Saturday.
And this is
But you got to
special for
come
me.
in the night before, man.
I will come in the night before because I live here now.
Okay. Good. So we're going to have a yacht party.
Yes.
Can
I
you
look forward to
swim?
it. Yes, you can't be in Miami and not swim.
Dude, I've met so many people here that can't swim. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like, what are you doing on planet Earth that's 2/3
Yeah,
water and you can't
They
swim?
won't be around too long. Yes.
Les Brown, folks, a legend, okay? If you don't have his book, Laws of Success, okay, go get that book today on Amazon.
Yes.
You can get it anywhere, right?
You can get it on Amazon primarily. But the other thing I'm interested in people checking us out at the Les Brown Institute, because I think it's my mission to train these new voices of hope. When there's hope in the future, that gives you power in the present. We live in the greatest country in the world. There's something wrong when people try and outswim sharks to get here or outrun a Jeep barefooted to get here.
To come to the country.
And the suicide rate in America is higher than the number of people that were killed last year in car accidents. Something is wrong with that. They lost
Crazy,
hope.
man.
And we are voices of hope. When there's hope in the future, that gives you power in the present. And that's what my goal and mission I feel that God has with me, the Les Brown Institute, is to train people how to tell their story and to transform the lives of other individuals. That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, he's going to stick to that because that's what he's been doing for 40 years, okay? And he's going to stick to you. If you're committed to your health, to your well-being, to your wealth, to your future, your family, the love, whatever you believe in, we want to help you March 17th, 18th, and 19th in Miami. Now look, if you can't get here, I'm gonna stream it to them.
Yes.
We got people, a guy called me the other day and said, hey look, I got 10 people, I bought 10 tickets, I can't get down there because of this.
Yes.
We're gonna stream it to those people, okay? I know you got a bunch of your folks coming.
Without any question, and all my children will be there too.
Okay.
So that's gonna have the place half full.
And you're gonna be there to have full, okay? I'm telling you, this is gonna be the best.
Yeah.
He talked about that Georgia conference.
Yeah, Georgia Dome, I was speaking to 80,000 people called It's Not Over Till You Win. They can see it on YouTube.
Now, what if there was only 2,000 people in the room
It doesn't
rather than
matter.
80,000?
It doesn't matter.
But don't you think those
Trust
2,000
me,
would get more?
They will get more out of it because I'm going to get the butter from the duck. Trust me on that.
The butter from the duck.
Yes.
You want to talk about the pepper in the fork?
Yes, I've been eating hot pepper on the fork right before this event because I'm going to be fired up and hungry.
I guarantee he will do the single best presentation of his entire career because the bar has been raised, folks. Look at the people here, okay? Jay Abrahams. You know Jay?
Absolutely.
What'd you say about Jay?
Jay is very knowledgeable and he's
Big
going to do
words.
yes, he's big words.
Okay.
But there's some people, there's a market there.
There,
Because
Kevin
in
Harrington.
every
You know Kevin
audience,
from
the
Shark
audience
Tank?
is inside of the audience. Yes, I know Chair. Kevin.
Infomercial genius,
Yes,
okay?
he's good.
Done almost $1 billion on infomercials.
Yeah.
You know Tim's story that
Yes.
worked with Oprah?
Yeah,
Okay.
Tim is good.
Tim Grover worked with Kobe and Michael Jordan?
Yes.
Michael Jordan, the basketball player?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you play basketball?
Yes, and I got a good hook.
Come on, man.
Yes.
Come on, man.
Ask
Now, I think he's exaggerating.
Ask Michael
now.
about me. We were born on the same date. He and Jim Brown,
Are you
February
kidding, man?
17th. Absolutely.
I don't know, man. I think we're beyond public speaking now. Do you know this dude, Andy Frisella?
Yes, but not
Okay,
personally.
$100 million
yes.
earner.
Yeah, he's
$100
a
million
bad
a
boy.
year.
Yeah,
okay?
that's somebody I
Jamie
want to know
Shanks,
more.
Roddy Chong, I'm bringing in a violinist.
You know,
You don't know this dude. He's a little Asian
Yes,
dude. Makes about $3 million bucks a year.
He's very expressive.
You
when
know
he
what
plays.
dude?
Yes.
Bobby Castro. You don't know Bobby.
No, I don't know
He's
Bobby.
a white dude, man.
Yes.
Right here in Miami.
Right here in Miami?
$600 million valuation.
What does he
of his
do?
company. Actually, Bankers Healthcare. I think you spoke to
Yes,
his
I
group
spoke
once.
there.
Okay. Jack and Telly,
No.
$1.5 billion business.
Man, what a powerful lineup you have.
Per
you know
year,
what?
per year.
Per year.
Every year he bangs out $1 billion. There's
You
a
know
$1 billion list, but look, it wasn't gonna be complete
Yes.
without my man, Mr. 10X, the original 10X, because he had 10 kids. Okay, Les, buddy, I love you, man.
I love you
knew
and
it
I
the first time I
appreciate you.
talked.
Who are you and how did you become one of the best motivational speaker?
I am a speaker, a father.
Yeah.
I am an entrepreneur, I'm an author. I'm a variety of things. And I think that what allowed me to become the kind of person that I am as a speaker is because of my experience, because of my journey. And we all have journeys. And I think that the journey that you have, it has a great deal of impact on how you show up in life. And so I like a quote by Booker T. Washington who said, judge a man not by what he has accomplished, but what he had to overcome for his accomplishment. And so I think because of the things that I've been through, being born in an abandoned building on a floor with a twin brother in a poor section of the United States, being labeled educable mentally retarded and put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade and fail again in the 8th grade, and being adopted
and no college training. I think that all of those things that one would think I would become a statistic. And as opposed to doing that, I've been able to position my life to influence and motivate and inspire millions of people around the world.
It's amazing because a lot of people are thinking, oh, I have too many challenges, too many struggles, I can't succeed, I don't have any luck. So do you think we can build a luck?
We can. I think that, Pete Rose, who was a baseball icon, said that, the harder he works, the luckier he gets. And so I think that when you work, that you create things, that you are working on yourself, you do your internal work and your external work, that you're going to be able to move yourself to a place to accomplish things that will literally surprise you and things that you weren't even setting out to do. There are things that I'm accomplishing and things that I'm doing that when I started out, those things, they weren't on my agenda, but you begin to evolve to that level.
So you are becoming another person, another level, so your dreams change, your action change.
When you get outside of what's familiar, what's comfortable, what feels right, and put yourself in a position beyond your comfort zone, that will give birth to a part of yourself that you don't know right now. Because in order to do something you have never done, you've got to become someone you've never been. We all have greatness within us, but greatness is not our destiny. It is a choice that we have to make consciously to put ourselves outside of our comfort zones, to stretch and to develop ourselves and have in our environment people we can learn from and grow from that will hold us to a higher standard and that will always challenge us to go higher.
So you are saying that when we are going outside our comfort zone, we are finding ourselves.
Yes, we're discovering things about ourselves that we would never discover in our comfort zone. And so I think it was Oliver Wendell Holmes, unless you attempt to do something beyond that which you've already mastered, you will never grow. Most people don't achieve a level of mastery. Most people suffer from arrested development. They stop developing themselves, they stop growing, they stop reaching, and they literally settle in and accept life as it comes at them.
Yeah, and I totally agreed with that because I started to do my first English interviews and it was very hard at the beginning. Yes, and I'm discovering a lot of things about me in doing that.
As you are such a powerful speaker, you spoke about powerful speaking. How did you become such a powerful speaker yourself?
Well, people say that I'm a powerful speaker. I think I'm a much more effective speech coach, but I study. I believe that as you look at yourself and you have the sacred opportunity to speak to audiences, to inspire them, because at the end of the day, when we speak to an audience, there are three things that we want to accomplish. We want to change their collective thinking, that's number one, and how they see themselves and the story they believe about themselves. The second thing is that our goal is to not only change their thinking, but to broaden and to expand their vision of what's possible in their lives. And the third thing is to inspire them to become, as Mother Teresa would say, to become a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter in their lives. And so I think that what people admire me for and why I received the highest award from the National Speakers Association and Toastmasters International Golden Gavel Award and was selected among the top 5 speakers in the world. I think what they admire me for is the impact that I've made with audiences achieving the objectives that I just talked about. Because when people hear you speak, the goal objective is for them to leave there feeling better about themselves and talking about the experience that you created for them to get that vision of themselves. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. And my goal is to, when I speak to an audience, is never allow them to be comfortable with living a life of mediocrity, of being comfortable of being average. People who are living a level of being average, those individuals are going through life doing the things that they feel that they need to do. But when you're an entrepreneur, you're living from a place of responsibility. You go through life doing the things that you are called to do, that you see yourself answering the calling on your life, doing those things that create value for people, that will make a difference in people, and that will leave a legacy.
How many of you, since you've been here, you have gotten some value that will impact your life personally and your bottom line? Raise your hands, please. That's what I mean. It consists of the wills and the will nots. In order to be successful, you must be willing to do the things today. Invest in yourself, get some coaching. In order to be successful, you must be willing to do the things today. Develop strategic relationships with people that you can learn from, that others won't do. In order to have the things tomorrow, others won't have. You're investing in yourself. You're coming here, flying here, driving here. You're taking the time to learn new strategies and how you can offset the competition. Makes you different. You're uncommon. One great American said, "I choose not to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to live from hand to mouth. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the still calm of utopia. I will never cower before the master, nor bend to any threat. It's my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to face the world boldly and say, this I have done." That's why you became an entrepreneur. That's why you're here. You have the boldest and uncommon desire to control your own destiny. Give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, bring it in.
How do you get ready for an important speech?
Well, one of the things that I teach in terms of preparation for a speech is find as much about the audience as possible. Who are you going to speak to? Do what I call communications intelligence. You want to get all the information about that organization, the mindset of the audience, what are the goals and objectives they want to achieve. We have a needs assessment that we will provide for you. What is it that these entrepreneurs are looking for? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What do they bring to the table of business? How do they see themselves locally and globally in the scheme of things? What is it at the end of that presentation that you want people to walk away from? And then what I do is craft a message. And in the embodiment of that message and that presentation and that workshop, the things that will allow them to achieve those objectives. If it's to improve their skill set, if it's to expand their attitude and their vision of themselves and what's possible for them, if it's to challenge them and to inspire them to take their lives to the next level. Those will be the things that we will emphasize in that presentation, that as a result of them being exposed to that experience and the information and all of the things that I've learned over the years of doing this, that they leave there with something of value that they can sink their teeth into, that they can go and start applying it in their lives and in their businesses.